Hey everybody, TheChrisDex here, and I just found this old ancient TV in a Chinese work camp. It had a commercial for an unreleased video game. Let's check it out. Hey kids, Hey kids, Roger Game commercial here, and boy do we have the game for you. It's the perfect combination of testosterone and high octane action. It's called Exolite. For all of you that love horror and action combined, and high prices, and broken promises, it's the game for you. Now this game is very early in development, so we don't have a lot of gameplay to show you, but you can still pre-order it for the low price of $99. Here at the TheChrisDex Industries, we care about you, and your wallet, but mostly your wallet. It was so hype back then. Video games have always had to advertise to their audience, and what better way to do that than making a TV commercial? Most of the time when a AAA game is being released, a commercial is always made to hype the release. This has happened since the early 90s, when video games were on the rise and television was the best way of getting your game seen by more people. Now through the years, they have changed massively. They went from intense, action-packed ads to f***ing PowerPoint presentations. I've always felt like video game commercials have had a massive drop in quality. We went from colorful Smash 64 ads to Dollar Store Mafia City ads. Here we have one of the first commercials for the Atari, and just look at how much energy and passion it had. I mean, yeah, it looks like an LSD trip, but it was still colorful. Here's the Smash 64 ad that was released, and just look at it. This wasn't focusing much on the gameplay, but the creativity it had made it such a cult classic. It's a bunch of guys in fursuits smashing on each other. What more do you want? Now this is when I thought the game commercials were at their best, the 90s and the early 2000s. The Battletoads commercial was also amazing. It had a bunch of teenagers excited to play the game. And even though it really didn't show that much gameplay, it did a good job of getting people excited for the game. The people who made this trailer really showed passion for the game. This is something that would be a trend for games in the next couple years, with more trailers for games and consoles being released as video games became more popular. Now came the early 2000s when video games became more popular. They grew a bigger audience and the production quality in video game commercials was increased. The Game Boy, GameCube, PlayStation, and Xbox were all released and more games were being released at that time. So that meant another stage in ads. Here we have the ad for Wario Land on the Game Boy Color, and it was great. It had a simple commercial that got its point across and kept the viewer entertained. This was around the time that more commercials started combining gameplay with live action footage. And here we have the ad for Metroid Prime, and it was epic. And I don't mean that ironically. Seeing this high budget live action Samus is still so cool to this day. But it only came out in the UK. Really? 21 Savage and Samus, what more do you need? Now this has to be one of my favorite commercials for the GameCube, and it's also one of my favorite games for the GameCube. Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door. It's just a paper plane flying through the wind, but it was so relaxing that it gave such a nice feeling that the game itself also replicated. Pokemon XD, or if you translate that to modern slang, Pokemon XD lol ooh yeet, I just lost a million brain cells. It was pretty similar to movie trailers at the time, with narration that gave it a grand and cheesy feeling. Narration in all trailers or commercials was really common at the time, but eventually it became a lot more uncommon until they aren't seen at all nowadays. Let's take a look at what the Xbox is up to these days.
Well, I only play for the fighting.
Ah, so they got Nerds Anonymous to these commercials. Dead or Alive 3 was a fairly popular fighting game at the time, and the best way of describing it was, she kicks high? They're going all out with the plot development. The Splinter Cell trailer was great. It was almost identical to action movie trailers at the time, and it did a good job of capturing the vibe of Splinter Cell. And then we have some beauty pageant women just kicking each other. Wow. Dead or Alive can't catch a break. It's probably for the better. Now looking over at the PlayStation side of things, we have Contra Shattered Soldier, and after watching that, I want to go to war! Woo! This is another example of a live action trailer blending in amazingly with the game to create an amazing experience. Here's the trailer for Jak and Daxter and fat guy on a bench. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think Jak and Daxter. Now for games such as Madden and FIFA, it was common for them to use athletes and celebrities to sponsor the game. In the Madden 04 trailer, they used a bunch of players to help push the game, such as... yeah, that's football players alright. Now we enter the era where video game commercials took a turn for the worse, also known as current day. Video game commercials now suck some serious butthole. They're low effort, extremely generic, and look like they were put together in a PowerPoint presentation. They did a fine job of showing off gameplay and what it's about, but they're not exciting in the slightest and are just boring. Let's look at the ads for the Wii U and the games for it. They just show a bunch of kids and Disney stars playing games on it, and unless you're a pedophile, then it's just boring. Here's the ad for Super Mario 3D World, and it's a family gathering around to play it, and sure, it gets the message across that it's better to play together, but who cared? I just want to see some explosions and Mario killing Toad with the hammer. Is that too much to ask for? Here's another ad for the Wii U, and just look at it, the comedy and actors just feel so forced, and they don't get anyone hype enough to play the game. The ad for Mario Party 10 was another example of this. It tried to be cute and show how much fun Mario Party is, but it still feels like a Nickelodeon show. Mario Party stopped being fun years ago. It's gonna take a lot more than that to get people to play it. The ads for the PS4 were slightly better, but still lacked that magic old commercials had. They mostly don't even advertise individual games. They prefer to just do some compilations and put some dramatic music behind it. It's basically a Tumblr post in 2013. As for Xbox, it's pretty much the same as PlayStation, just with more Forza and Halo, so there's not much creativity going in there. But this did lead to the rise of mobile game commercials, and would I rather stub my toe than watch those. It's so annoying that pretty much every mobile game is nothing like how they advertised it. For example, I could get an ad about a mobile game with a lot of action and 4K graphics, but when I download it, all I get is a loaf of bread. There is nothing to take away from these commercials. It's just so disingenuous and oh, baby girl. Yeah, that's enough of that for today. I mean, the reason I can't talk about many modern game commercials is because there aren't that many anymore. They just started dying out, and now companies focus on advertising the console rather than the game. This actually does make some sense to me. If the mainstream audience can buy the console, then they're gonna buy whatever games look cool and not really go looking for a specific game. Now, I think the main reason this is happening has to be the rise of the internet and social media. Let me explain this further. Around 2010 and further, the internet became a lot more common and more people had access to social media and websites. Knowing this, game companies realized that less people were using TVs, so they lowered the budget for TV commercials and focused their efforts more on YouTube videos and announcements on Twitter and Instagram. It's just a natural evolution of advertisement. They had to change how they advertise so they could be more seen in the modern day. Even with that said, I still miss TV commercials. When I was younger, seeing one of those on TV got me so excited for the game, and it's a feeling modern commercials can't do. Sure, there are some good ones like the Smash Ultimate Banner one. That was fantastic, but there are very few of this quality. I know with TVs and cable being used a lot less means that video game ads will go down with them, but it still would be fun to see some creative commercials. But events like E3 and Nintendo Directs always have solid trailers, and I always look forward to them. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to quit my dream of making video game commercials. Guess I have to move on to my next dream, making video game magazines, and I'm bankrupt.